Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, When Quirky Stretched Out in the Middle of the Room. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Quirky has a special talent. Not for catching balls. Not for shaking hands. Not even for barking at delivery drivers. His greatest talent is lying down exactly in the middle of the room. Not near the sofa. Not politely beside the wall. Not even in a sunny corner like most well-behaved dogs in picture books. Right. In the middle. The first time he did it, I thought it was an accident. I was carrying a basket of freshly folded laundry when I nearly tripped over a soft, warm obstacle. There he was, legs stretched long behind him like a furry starfish, chin resting flat on the floor, eyes half closed but very aware. Quirky, I said, stepping carefully around him. Why here? His tail thumped once against the tiles. Not defensive, not apologetic, just content. From that day on, the middle of the room belonged to him. Morning sunlight would slide through the window, but instead of chasing it, Quirky would choose the exact center of the living room floor. When I vacuumed, he would move 3 inches to the left, just enough to avoid the machine, but still remain essentially in the way. When guests came over, they would hesitate at the doorway. Is he okay? He's fine, I would answer. He just likes being in the middle of things. And it was true. He wasn't demanding attention. He wasn't whining. He wasn't performing tricks. He was simply there. Sometimes I would sit at the dining table working on my laptop. The room would be quiet except for the clicking of keys and the distant hum of traffic outside. I would glance down, and there he was, stretched long, breathing slowly, completely relaxed. It felt like the room had a heartbeat. And it was him. I started noticing something interesting. Whenever I walked from the kitchen to the sofa, I had to slow down. Whenever I carried something fragile, I had to look carefully. Whenever I crossed the room, I became aware of where my feet were landing. Because Quirky was in the middle. Without meaning to, he made me more present. I stopped rushing across the room. I stopped storming through my own house like I was late for something. The middle of the room became a small lesson in patience. One evening, after a long and tiring day, I dropped my bag by the door and collapsed onto the couch. Quirky did not run to greet me wildly. He did not jump. He simply lifted his head from the center of the room and looked at me. That look said everything. I'm here. And somehow that was enough. There is something disarming about a dog who refuses to hide in the corner. Most animals instinctively stay close to walls or furniture. It feels safer, protected, observant. But Quirky? He chooses openness. When he lies in the middle of the room, he exposes his belly to the world. His legs stretch out freely. His breathing becomes slow and deep. He trusts the space completely. And by trusting the space, he invites me to trust it too. One afternoon, rain tapped gently against the windows. The sky was gray, and the house felt heavy with that quiet mood that sometimes arrives without warning. I was scrolling endlessly on my phone, absorbing news, messages, worries. Quirky lay in his usual spot, still, calm, unbothered by the rain. I watched him for a long moment. He wasn't trying to improve the weather. He wasn't checking notifications. He wasn't worrying about tomorrow's schedule. He was simply occupying his place in the world. I put my phone down. The room suddenly felt larger. I lay on the floor beside him. The tiles were cool. His fur was warm. He turned his head slightly and rested it against my arm as if this had always been part of the plan. In that simple moment, something shifted. I realized how rarely we allow ourselves to take up space without apology. Humans are constantly shrinking. We sit smaller. We speak softer. We move aside quickly. We say sorry when we have done nothing wrong. But Quirky stretches fully. He does not ask permission to exist. And yet, he does not demand anything either. There is a quiet dignity in the way he claims the middle of the room, not to dominate it, but to belong to it. When friends visit now, I notice how they react differently. At first, they step carefully around him. Then they smile. Eventually, someone always kneels down and scratches behind his ears. Conversations soften. Laughter becomes warmer. The room feels less formal, more alive. It's hard to argue loudly when a dog is snoring peacefully at your feet. It's hard to stay angry when a warm tail taps gently against your ankle. Sometimes I think Quirky understands something we have forgotten. That presence is more powerful than performance. He doesn't need to impress anyone. He just needs to be there. And strangely, That makes everyone else feel more at ease. When I think about Quirky lying in the middle of the room, I realize he is teaching me something essential about modern life. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to hurry, achieve, and prove ourselves. We move from task to task, screen to screen, rarely allowing ourselves to pause. Yet Quirky reminds me that simply being present can transform a space. By stretching comfortably in the center, he shows quiet confidence and trust. He trusts his home, he trusts me, and he trusts that he deserves to rest. From him, I learned that it is okay to slow down, to take up space kindly, and to breathe deeply without guilt. In our daily lives, we can apply this by setting aside moments without devices, by walking more slowly, by truly listening to someone we love. Our relationship with animals also teaches responsibility and compassion. When we care for them, we become more patient and attentive. They depend on us, yet they also heal us. Living gently with animals reminds us to live gently with people too. Like Quirky in the middle of the room, we can choose calm presence over constant motion, and that choice can bring peace to both humans and animals alike.